you're a man and you're watching this video, here is my romantic advice. Go draw more women. We love that shit, okay? We love that shit. Unless you're not good at drawing. If you're not good at drawing, don't bother. Make us a playlist on Spotify or something. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Sabrina and welcome back to my book nook. So I would give some reasons as to why I haven't uploaded in a bit, but we all know y'all are probably gonna skip over that anyways. So long story short, I'm here now. Although I will probably not upload as much because I have like finals coming up next month, and mentally, emotionally, I'm complicated, if you can tell by Lil Huddy's appearance. Also, you guys, it's my channel's 1 year anniversary. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been doing this for a year now, and I would have more to say on it, but like, I'm done. I tried to upload a video last week and it did not work, so my energy is just sort of like gone. Anyways, today we're gonna be reviewing a book that just recently came out, and I got it 2 days after release. I got it at Barnes & Noble. It was buy one, get one 50% off, so I got this other like kind of trashy romance about historical pirates or something, I don't know. But today we're going to be reviewing Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. This has been one of the most anticipated books of 2022 for a while. I was anticipating it, my mom was anticipating for some reason. I was like, how do you know about this book? And she's like, I heard about it through WeChat. So whoever's like promoting this book through WeChat, you're doing a good job. This book already also has like a Netflix deal, which is kind of insane. So today we're going to be doing a book review of this book. Before I get started, let me just break down how my book reviews work. My book reviews are broken down into 4 parts. Parts 1 and 4 will be spoiler free, but parts 2 and 3 will have spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, don't watch parts 2 and 3. Okay? Part 1, I give my beginning thoughts and opinions, just sort of a beginning rambling, and I give a brief little plot summary. Part 2, I talk about plot writing and other elements. This is where I do most of my review. Part 3, I talk about characters and relationships. That's self-explanatory. And part 4, I give my final thoughts and opinions, as well as an overall rating and answering the question, is it a must read? Okay? Great. Let's jump into the review. Okay, so part 1, beginning thoughts and opinions. Like I said, there was a lot of anticipation for this book, and I admit I did something I consistently tell y'all not to do on this channel. I went in with high expectations. Never go into a book with high expectations, especially if it's an anticipated book that you really want to read. You will always be let down, no matter how good it is. Anyways, for a debut novel, this was actually pretty impressive. However, I will say, if you're looking for your like typical heist book, this isn't exactly it. Like, I think my biggest problem with the book was that the plot synopsis didn't accurately depict what the story is actually about or what I gained from the book. It's not so much of like a typical Ocean's 11 heist book as it's advertised, but it's more about like the people behind the heist and their emotions and their lives and their experiences, along with some, you know, stealing and robbing or whatever. It's kind of hard to explain, but nonetheless, I think that the writing was really, really beautiful, really captivating, and the author is amazing at imagery. Like, her descriptions of settings and places is just However, I will say I also do think the writing did take itself a little bit too seriously the entire time and felt a bit repetitive at parts, which I will get to later. But first, let me give a brief little plot summary. So the book follows 5 college students who are given a job, a legal job by the way, and their job is to steal back these valuable pieces of Chinese art from like these Western museums. Essentially a huge like you to colonialism, which was one of the selling points for me, and it's also about the Asian American experience, specifically like Chinese American, as the entire cast in this book is Chinese American, which was another selling point for me because I am Chinese American, believe it or not. So moving on to part 2, thoughts on plot writing and other elements. Where do I begin? First off, let's talk about the plot. Now, like I said, this isn't like your typical heist book. It isn't like you go in, you steal one thing, and you successfully come back out. Off the bat, they're talking about 5 heists, and I was like, 5 heists sounds a little bit ambitious. I would like lower it to at least 3, especially when you're like writing and thinking of terms of stories. Stuff always happens in 3s, and I was right. It ended up just being like 3 heists, but even then I think that was ambitious, and I don't really know if you can classify these as like heists. When I think of heists, I think of like elaborate plans, disguises with fake accents, like dropping down from like a ceiling with like the wire strapped on your back, you know what I mean? Those are heists. This just is more of like a robbery. Straight up just smash the windows, grab a thing, and drive away. That's it. There's no sincere and elaborate planning going behind it, which is what I was kind of hoping for. Well, yeah, it's probably more realistic. They don't have these super complicated and comprehensive plans. I don't think it necessarily has to be realistic. Like, that's the whole point of fiction. That's the whole point of books. It's to escape from reality, to do the impossible. I would have liked to actually see 5 college students put their brains together and think of a clever, elusive, overly complicated way to get into these museums, but instead they just like smash a window and go in. Yes, it's clever, but it's not like the clever I was going for. However, I do think the ending did give me that satisfactory feeling I have whenever I finish like reading or watching a heist. The whole email leak thing and their plan being like a fake diversion to unleash the real plan, I love those sorts of things. I love it so much. That is what a heist is like. You have a fake plan and then you have a real plan. And the whole email leak thing, having the colonizers themselves like revealing that, oh yeah, we know about colonizing, we just don't care. That was genius. On to the writing. I think the writing was definitely like more poetic, and it was full of descriptions of settings, and it really painted like vivid portraits of the characters, you know, which is all beautiful, but I don't think it fit the overall tone of the story, and it didn't really match the potential of it. Again, I feel like with this type of story, like a heist story with 5 college students, you need to let the story breathe a little bit. You need to let the characters crack a joke or two. I don't think it hurts to be funny at times, you know? Like, I'm gonna be honest, the entire story is low-key emo. They're so emo. Like, the characters constantly pondering about their futures, their vast possibilities over a horizon of self-reflection or whatever. Like, girl, this is not like Riverdale. You can have characters be a little bit lighthearted, because I feel like with that much like heavy-handedness of these characters, not balancing them out with a little bit of like humor just makes them feel not as fleshed out as they could be. You know, real humans, we laugh, we make jokes. It's supposed to be a heist. Don't be afraid to poke fun at the story, you know? Overall though, the writing is really stunning, and the author's ability to set a scene and a vibe is incredible. However, I will say it also does get a little bit repetitive at times. After all, there are only so many times I can read about hazy Durham lights and beautiful California skies. But again, this is the author's debut novel, so we're cutting it some slack. Also, I wanted to touch on the author's ability to encapsulate the Chinese American experience. I think it's absolutely incredible. There were so many times when I would just pause and think, like, I finally gotten the book. You know, the book where I feel seen, where I feel heard, where I feel represented. And it's an absurdly like normal thing to do. I think every person has that piece of media or content that they really feel represented in, but it's not normal, at least not for POC. You know, we've spent so long without any representation that when we finally do get it, it's like, it's so easy. It was so easy to get. How come we haven't had it before now? You know, before we had to demand it. It's really weird. But kudos to the authors for that. I really think that the book is beautiful in describing this immigrant Chinese American kid experience. But honestly, I think the book would have fared better if the author just sort of focused on that. I think like the book revolving around it being a heist really took away from some of like the impact of these characters and their experiences. I feel like it should have been 2 separate books, you know, one with heist and one just talking about like 5 college kids and their Asian American experiences. Like, I would read both of those books separately, and while I was certainly ambitious to combine the both, I don't really know if it meshed as well as it did in this book. Like, it was still good, but it could have been like amazing, you know what I mean? But also, I also just think it's kind of a problem with the way the book was advertised and the plot synopsis. Like, it's not really about like your typical heist story with your scrappy but genius criminals. It's more about just like 5 Chinese American college students who really have no idea what they're doing, planning a heist, and they're just trying to figure themselves out and what they want to do with their lives. Okay, so moving on to part 3, characters and relationships. Let's start off with Will Chen. I'm gonna be honest, this man has a lot of red flags. Okay, first off, he's an art history major at Harvard. Male manipulator off the bat. I'm betting you he listens to like male manipulator bands like what? Like the Smiths, Neutral Milk Hotel, Car Seat Headrest. By the way, guys, did you know my Car Seat Headrest concert got postponed? I'm so mad. Will Toledo got COVID. I was heartbroken. Anyways, other than that, I think Will is pretty chill. I rhymed again. You know, I will give props though to Will for drawing Lily. He just like thought she looked pretty, so he just started like sketching her. Where are the men like that nowadays? It seems like men don't know how to be romantic anymore. If you're a man and you're watching this video, here is my romantic advice. Go draw more women. We love that, okay? We love that. Unless you're not good at drawing. If you're not good at drawing, don't bother. Make us a playlist on Spotify or something. But if you can draw and you like women, go draw more women, man. What the hell are you doing? Moving on to Will's sister, Irene. I knew something was going on with her and Alex. I knew it. I knew she was gay as hell. I called their relationship from their first interaction. I love the whole enemies to lovers to I still kind of hate you thing. Top tier. Anyways, Irene, icon, slay, and she's championing younger Chinese sibling struggle. Icon shit. Next, Alex. To be honest, Alex is not the most memorable out of all the 5 of them. Her and Irene are definitely a vibe though, but I'm gonna admit I was a little bit worried in the beginning that it was gonna be a love triangle between Will, Lily, and Alex, but it ended up being like sort of a love triangle between Irene, Alex, and Daniel instead. Which, speaking of Daniel, oh my god, I love him, but poor dude. I think he's got it like the worst out of the 5 of them. Like, his dad is literally the one leading the investigation against them. He didn't have any siblings. He's in love with somebody he can never have, and his mom is dead. Like, dude just takes hit after hit after hit, and I think out of like the only 2 jokes I found in this book, he cracks both of them. Finally, let's talk about Lily. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the entire time I was picturing Devin Aoki from the Fast and Furious movies, and I'm like 99% sure that's who the author was writing her as too, because I read the acknowledgements and the author was talking about her love for the Fast and Furious movies. You're not slick. I know exactly who you're picturing, and I'm pretty sure every other reader was picturing her too, so it's alright. Out of all of these characters, I wish I was Lily the most. She just seems like such a vibe. She's a mechanical engineer. She can ride and she looks like Devin Aoki. Am I saying that name right? Aoki? I don't know. Moving on to part 4, final thoughts and opinions. Now, overall for a debut novel, this was pretty good. The writing is beautiful with wonderful imagery and well thought out characters who represent different facets of the Chinese American experience. However, I do think the writing was a little bit melodramatic at times for my taste. I would have preferred a heist story to take itself a little bit more lightly, but that's just my preference, and I personally think that the book was just not like summarized and marketed quite in the right way that accurately depicts the story. However, I will say it was a pretty thoughtful read, and it acknowledged the great evil that is Western colonialism, especially in the form of stealing other countries' art. As somebody who loves learning about art history, that aspect of the book was really vindicating. Overall, I rated the book a 4.6 out of 5. While I think there were certainly parts of the books that could have been done better, it was an overall pretty excellent book and overall very impressive debut novel. Is it a must read? Honestly, yeah. Like, I know it's not the best, most amazing, like brain exploding book, I don't know, out there. It was still a pretty excellent read, and I think people should read it. read it, you know. Once you look past the flaws of the book, you unearth a beautiful story with a very important message. Not to mention the representation in this book is amazing, and just I really do think it deserves a lot of attention and the anticipation it's been getting. I cannot wait to see what the author will do in the future, because I can only tell her works are only going to go up from here. So yeah, that is my entire review. If you watched this entire video, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, don't. If you really hated it, give it a thumbs down. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. I just remembered, I keep forgetting to say that. Please subscribe, you guys. Only if you want to, though. And I'll see you next time.